Hello everyone, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about what constitutes a good, a bad, and an ugly thought experiment, in my opinion. Now, first things first, what is a thought experiment? A thought experiment is basically just a hypothetical scenario, or any hypothetical scenario that philosophers use to demonstrate a point. The first category, of course, are good thought experiments. In my opinion, a good thought experiment is something that we can imagine, something that is fathomable. It doesn't necessarily have to be something realistic, but it should be something that could happen in real life. And a good example for this is the trolley problem. Now, the trolley problem is if you've got a trolley that's rolling down a mine, and if nobody does anything, it's going to kill 5 workers. And you have the option of pulling a lever, redirecting the trolley on a different track and killing 1 other worker instead. I think we can imagine this fairly well. It's you get to choose between 2 things, killing 5 people or killing 2 people, and there's no third logical option. The second category is what I call ugly thought experiments. These are very similar to the good thought experiments, but the difference here is that there are some practical issues that would make it such that if it were to happen in real life, there would probably be a couple of things that would change our decision. And a good example for this is the trolley problem fat extension. This is basically the same problem as the trolley problem, but instead of pulling a lever, you're asked to push a fat guy on the tracks, and then the idea is that the fat guy is going to stop the trolley and then the 5 workers don't die. In a sense, it's the same thing as the normal version, but the difference here is that if it were to happen in reality, we wouldn't know that pushing a fat guy on the tracks is actually going to stop the trolley in time. So there's a real chance of the fat guy just being killed by the trolley, and the trolley then still killing the 5 people. And maybe, worst case scenario, it's been slowed down a little bit, which means that the 5 workers don't die immediately or something. Something like this is what would go through our heads if we were in that situation. Now, in the thought experiment, you're asked to ignore this. You're asked to assume that pushing the fat person on the tracks is definitely going to stop the trolley and going to save the 5 workers. But this is difficult to do because our intuition tells us that, well, that might not happen, right? We might just worsen the situation with nothing to show for it. And the third and last category are bad thought experiments. This is basically anything that we can't properly imagine. An example here would be a serial killer who takes so much well-being out of murdering people that it overwrites everyone else's suffering combined. Now, the utilitarian would of course have to conclude that the serial killer would then be justified in brutally murdering people. And some people would say, like, well, that's just nonsense and utilitarianism goes out the window. But the problem here is that we can't really imagine how it would actually be like to get that much well-being out of murdering people. I mean, I can't, and I would be very surprised if other people can. It's just a completely ridiculous situation where we can't put ourselves in the shoes of a serial killer. So it doesn't really have a lot of practical value. And in my opinion, this is the case for most thought experiments that have something to do with utility monsters. That's basically people who just get more well-being or more suffering out of something than ordinary people do. So in conclusion, thought experiments don't have to be realistic. You can have as many dwarfs and wizards and whatnot in it, but they have to be fathomable. Do try to stick to good thought experiments, reverting to ugly thought experiments only if you can't think of anything better, but do try to keep your hands off bad thought experiments. That was it for today. Have a lovely day and goodbye.